Welcome back to the Willis Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, yeah, we back. Refreshed and ready to put on a good show for you this evening. So anyway, Destiny Swapping. Who stole the story? Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good show. Oh yeah. We're gonna lay it out plain for you tonight. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk to you about some things. Also, we're gonna have a special guest that's gonna come in. From a oh yeah, just a special guest. Special guest. We're gonna give you the introduction later. But it's a great friend of ours, and we're gonna have a great discussion within how we're gonna perform tonight on the Willis Podcast. But check it out. The show tonight is called Destiny Swapping. Who stole the story? So we know I'm gonna be specific. We're actually talking about the world, but I'm gonna use a specific continent where I'm from, the Americas. But we're talking about the whole world. We're talking about, oh gosh, who stole the story of all the lands? Damn, man. Who stole the story of all the lands? We got to think about that, don't we? Who stole the story of all the lands? Destiny swapping when the world takes your identity. You have to give up something to get something. You do. Who told you who you are? The battle over memory versus identity. Damn, ain't they putting it out there right now? Yeah, they are. If you think about shows on Prime like the Citadel, I know some people be like, I don't like Bezos. I don't like they got you always got a reason to fight something, but what you don't understand is there's so much information that actually exists that you need to understand, read between the lines, and have the mind to even tap into the old to understand the new. I don't tell you the things I tell you for no reason. I have not an agenda, but I have to tell you the truth. Check this out. When people lose control of their identity, their labels, their history, and eventually their future because others redefine them. Doesn't that sound familiar? Especially to Black Americans. See, the reason why we know this is because we were the first to identify what has happened to us. It didn't even take long, in record time, too. See, in these new generations, when you expose the things that that were created in order for us to even, get here, imagine what's to come. Imagine what we're gonna get to. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Yeah. You got to understand that. So let me make a call real quick. No. We're gonna yeah. We're gonna get there. We're just gonna keep tapping in. We're gonna keep going. So here, check this out now. What happens when people tell you who you are long enough that you forget yourself? Sound familiar again? In these early times of the Americas, people did one thing. They said, you all came from slaves. And we all sitting here being, who slaves? What are you talking about? Let me show you. I got proof. We're going to talk about some voices. Voices of the Black nation. Let me give you some real stories, right? Man. Let me tell you the same things that we get into now. These are things that I had already existed. Check this out, like self-determination, the Black Belt Republican Plan. Check this out. This is 1932. Hold on. This is matter of fact, Baltimore, Afro-American, September 24th, 1932. Young white men and women here, White Plains, New York, working in shop and factories. in New York City discussing self determination for Negroes. So, what is known as the Black Belt of the South? By self determination, these young communists hmm, explained that wherever it was a majority of colored voters in any community and city or state, that they should not only elect their own officers, but decide upon what kind of government they should have. In their argument, they pointed out that there's one thing that colored people in this country needed in an administration and practice in which obliterate the inferiority complex and make them known that they can construct governments as well as follow the white man's ideal of government. While the specific preachment won't be calculated to attract many voters for the communist ticket, it is something young men and women might think about. In this country, we have been, in the main, just follow. Perhaps we have not had time to be anything else. We started out following the Republican Party, and to somewhat extent, we still trail. And we owe the WIS. Perhaps a wise and studied concentration of political strength would be a good thing. Perhaps the making of a unified political program compromising the entire voting group in this country would be a good thing. Set off ourselves to a voting group, we could make alignment as dozens of minority groups do in European governments. Now, check this out. It might as well be argued that such a concentration voting populations dominating completely from state could ensure representation in both branches and law-making bodies of Washington, becoming a powerful lever in close elections, and most of all, becoming a practical training ground for further American citizenship. Now, I hope you listen and you understand what I just read to you. These were the black voices. But do you understand that? Do you think I'm the first to understand this? And you think they didn't know to read this and put this into play for themselves? So the thing is, they take our playbooks, understand what we write, study it, and implement it. But they have now done this to their detriment, ladies and gentlemen, always going against the black crown. Let me explain why. For God, gold, for God, glory, and gold. Let me explain why they came to the Americas. The discovery of La Florida. Juan Ponce de Leon became the discoverer governor of La Florida in the most unusual way. He had come in the Indies on a Columbus' second voyage in 1493, and he later conquered Puerto Rico in 1508 and subsequently became the governor, where he built an empire of estates in 1506. So let's stop there real quick. Check this out. So if you conquered Puerto Rico, that means there must have been black folks there. They haven't been in any relation to nobody but the North American Indians and the Jamaicans and everybody else and the Haitians and the Hispaniola and whatever these names that you call them now. But those were, they were Indians. Yeah, you divided a whole damn island over there, Hispaniola. Let's keep going on with the show. I just had to give y'all some real good commentary so you understand where I'm coming from. Good God. Yeah, so anyway. Is identity controlled through memory, culture, education, media, and symbolism? It is today. Can people reclaim their destiny by reclaiming knowledge of self? Sure, absolutely, if you can, if you know how to do so. Also, if you do not define yourself, the world will define you for its own benefit. Let me understand you and be the first American Indian to tell you. The world gonna define you for their own benefit. Why you think we've been reclassified so many times? How do you think that can actually ever even happen so many times? Because we refuse to leave or be defeated. Oh man, let's talk about this. Destiny swapping begins with labels. Okay. Race labels, historical labels, social labels, political labels, cultural stereotypes. So if you can control the epitome, the frontal lobe of all of those equations, imagine how you would even see yourself as a person in this country at a specific point in time, mind you. Okay. The moment someone renames you, they can reposition you. Mhm. That's how you can change roles in society. Switch them up. You can erase the narratives. You can copy them culturally and even bring a whole nother people in to copy them culturally, even though you just subjugated them. But you have recorded everything and will give a whole nother people a new language, a new barrier, a new way out of their particular situation because they are far more controllable until they figured out what you did to them. But it was too late. You had already broken them and brought them into you, even from inception. So they had no choice but to blend with you. I'm talking about you, Siberian, so-called Native American. No, you ain't Native, but you Siberian. But the only reason why you coincide because how you got is even more awful of a story. But you would never admit or never want to give up a landmass that was given to you through. See, you see how you got just a slave that's given a way of life that won't admit that your actual fight is with Putin and Stalin, and that's your homeland, and you was given up, thrown away, thrust aside, treated horribly. But you're an actual Russian, you're a Siberian, you got people there. They're your ancestors. China, oh yeah, they'll love to see you. But you know why you can't go back there? Because you'll feel like an American traitor. But that's where you come from. But see, that's what make the whole world would be a mess. Why do you think they try to force Black Americans to go back to somewhere they ain't never been to? Go back where? The ones that did come from Africa went back. Yeah. But the ones that ain't from there said, yeah, I ain't doing that. That's a whole problem. I can't do that. Why would I do that? I'm not even from there. And they'd be like, yes, you was 500 years ago. You was from. Yeah, that's what the world will tell you too, huh? All I would ask you to do, I'll put my DNA findings out here. I was correct because I'm extremely closely connected to everything Aboriginal here. Very much so. So let's keep going. All right. We got the changing of roles in society. Yeah. Eraser from narratives, as I told you. Copied culturally. Mediated systematically, but excluded from recognition. So you got to teach, you got to be giving, and goddamn, I promise you, it's like that's what was that's what they really kind of like drove into us. Like, you're gonna get your time, you're gonna get your place, you're gonna yeah. Everything didn't have to do with a whip. It's terminology and someone lying to you about your position and would never give you anything. It's the same game always played, and they will pass that little intricate trick on, letting them know, just say how good they have been to everybody and never give them nothing. Say how good you got to be to get your reward, but never there would never be a reward for you, Black American. If you keep on following the foreigner's ideology, you can't get a reward. It's not for you. They will keep it hostage, so we have to take what's ours back. That's just how it goes. Systematically, organically, spiritually, emotionally. We have to use our strengths now because nothing else actually gave us any refuge. You understand? So let's talk about how you know the changing of the roles happen. If you think about music and language, how we orchestrate our language and how we can just you know everything we do from rap music to pop music, our influence. And then you look at language, the way we say things. They even made another connotation for it, calling it ebonics. Okay, whatever. And then you look at fashion, how we dress and how we orchestrate every way of our being. Athletic culture, innovation, and social movements. Now you even have Caucasians out here, Latinos, and everybody talking about the inventions of what Black Americans have done and Aboriginal peoples globally. Whites have never done those type of things because they are not equipped. They gave up their ability because they gave up their ancestors to whiteness. Yeah. Everything that they could be of service to, they did not. They forbid and they forfeited it by becoming something that they were not. So if you think about how you can destiny swap, how could you treat humanity from its core, uprooted the way you have, been so destructive, despicable, and formidable to nature itself? Let's keep moving. The battle over historical memory. Well, you know what you've done to this. Family memory, community memory, cultural memory, historical storytelling. See, everything that you think you have done to Aboriginal, Black Americans, or other kinds of peoples across the planet, but you knew one thing that you did create. You did create your spawns. We call them Latinos, and the pale skin Mexicanos, and we knew your spawns. We knew that you would have your apparatus, that the ones that would want to be you and put you out here and be more vicious than you. You even have people that are melanated that behave that way too. As sad as it may seem, but it's true. The reason why I can't speak in certain ways is because they would want to you know remove you from platforms and stuff, and I'm just trying to educate. I'm not trying to you know I'm just trying to let you know what really actually happened. The things that Caucasians have done to Aboriginal Black Americans and American Indians. It's absolutely formidable, but I do appreciate, and I won't sit up here and act like I don't hear, some Caucasian Americans speaking on their behalf and saying, speaking actually, but it's it's a good thing to see. Even other continents, people that still live in their homelands globally are speaking on behalf of Black Americans. I appreciate that because you guys do know you know our stories. You know who we are. You really do, and it's great to hear it. It's great to see Germans. It's great to see uh, Black Americans that live in Germany putting out stories. It's great to see, Black people globally, and there's this settlement of understanding, and the real intelligence is starting to protrude, and I think that's extremely it's valiant. It's salutable. I appreciate you, both hands. Straight up like that. I salute you. It's all good. It's all great. When people come together, that means they're trying to be something powerful, something that they want to be. So let me think about this. Let's talk about this. Who writes history? Think about those questions. You got to get to the root of that question, though. Who writes history? Who benefits from controlling the narrative? Why do people fight over identity and origins? Everybody in the world shares DNA. And I think is quite, and let me be one to tell you, I think is extremely foolish to say that everybody that's melanated comes from Africa. That's just foolish. When you see Caucasians globally, it is because they ran into Aboriginal people that were this complexion, different features. And you know what they did? They blended into those societies. And even in those societies right now, globally, you have a sick fixation with the pale complexion. You don't even appreciate your roots. You don't appreciate who you actually are, even if you're pale complected. Sad. Because there are a whole lot of pale complected whites that are share some. They don't identify with it. Even when they do, who do you think got it? Who do you think got everything? All of the pale complected ones. That's how despicable they made sure America was going to be. If I walk into a casino right now and I tell, hey, what's up, cuz? What's happening? Where my cut? He'll dispel me. He'll tell me. Now, I rank higher than him. If you did a test from his blood quantum, they'll say I rank higher than him. He ain't even from here, but he gonna follow that program because that's his way of life. That's his survival. That's his well-being. And if you say something about that, he don't he don't acknowledge you. So they put the real American Indian in a real pickle. But it's in a particular situation. Makes it hard on us. Makes us have to deal with being in this society. So we have to make sure we be who we are. We dominate everything because we have to, not because it's because it's our land. So you got to learn how to stop reading things from an a slant, a bias, a tilt, something that you don't like it from. Okay. So check this out. When people lose knowledge of self, they become easier to direct, easier to make them do stuff. But the thing is, you can pay them for it though. It come a price, but you know how cheap it is to pay you. And then when you understand what you've done, you be like, damn, I should have asked for more. Damn. That's how white people do you. That's how the altered person that you call the default do you. No pun intended, but that's what happens. People want something for nothing because they think they're getting a deal, but they're really robbing on purpose. They just know they got to give you something. All right, but check this out. The only way to reclaim yourself, first and foremost, you don't even have to worry about anybody else until you reclaim yourself. When you reclaim yourself, you can even participate in helping other people reclaim themselves in a real, secure, factual, what I would call it. I like things to be what you call moral, absolutely moral, moral in ethics and in fabric. That's that's just that's it should be very possible. I believe in stuff like that. I like that. That's what I get down with. So let me hold on. Let me phone call real quick. You about ready? Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right, let me get back to all right, let me see here. We got to get back to the okay. Mm-mm. That's what we got here. Okay. Down too far. Down too far to show hands. Give me a second. All right. This is where we at. Let's get down to it. We are the authors of our future. If you understand what that actually means. See, defining yourself, defining yourself actually means something. Studying yourself, pivoting into yourself actually means something. Building your own institutions. That's where the fabric lies. That's where the infrastructure lies. Building your institution. Being a part of institutions that you believe in. Being intricately involved in those institutions and doing well, meaning following the rules of the universe and the ancestors. Please understand and believe that when you do things well, things fall into the place to where they need to be. Protecting your image, protecting your voice, and also protecting your future. These things have to be taught. These things have to be understood. These things have to be put in place. Nobody should have more authority over identity than you, especially of yourself. See, you can build a people, but the thing is, a people can be conquered But you don't want to conquer them twice, physically, then historically. Like, what you want to do that for? How could you do that? You think that's actually possible? If a person's eyes are open and the people are open and their mind is they are open, you think you can do that? I wouldn't bet on it. That I would not bet on. I promise you that, for real. But the thing about what happens when those infrastructural places already exist, like the land grab and the changing of that theory, that territory, that's already been done. Changing of laws, changing of names, changing of maps, and the changings of social rank already been done. Now these things have already been done. They told you. They was explaining to you in this. I'll tell y'all need to get this book right here, man. Get this book, Black Voices, Voices of a Black Nation. I'm gonna tell you again. This book has, oh man, okay, like we're gonna go with economic issues. Blacks and the trade union movement. All right, this is how it starts out, people. With the coming of the new Negro era, blacks found themselves increasingly faced with the issue of how to relate to trade unions. The migrations had brought blacks to the city's strongholds of organized labor. The American Federation of Labor and traditional anti black, only a handful of affluent unions allowed blacks to be the members of the equal basis with whites. Others allowed blacks to join a specific, join special segregated locals, and a large percentage of AFL union excluded blacks entirely. The number of AFL unions had initially been part of the old Knights of Labor, but broke away from the integrated union movement, especially for the purpose of creating all white unions. The racism of the AFL and the subject of selection in 1918 article of the Crisis by Du Bois. The integration arms of the labor movement was the industrial workers of the world, founded in 1905. Black and white were treated equally through the IWW, even with the attempts and the organization of the throughout the IWW, even in the attempts to organize the Deep South. The IWW was uh, uh, anarcho syndicalist, believing that the state would be abolished, and all society would eventually be run in unions of labor federated in one big union, the IWW. The New Negro militants enthusiastically endorsed the IWW, and the Messenger and the Crusader, and the Challenge, the Selection. It is called to join the IWW, running a mess in the Marine Transport Workers Organization in Philadelphia. Nearby, half of the Lone Horsemen and union members were black. The IWW, inundated by job requests and out of work IWW members of the West Coast in well as demands of relief funds and other IWW unions. See, basically, what we're talking about is how let me explain more. The reluctance of many unions and open of the members to blacks and created a situation where the employers abused blacks as scab labor during the strikes. The problem is discussed in Robert S. Abbott in the section of Chicago Defender, a solution in union discrimination and postponed periodically during the 1920s and 30s in the creation of the Special Black Trade Union Organization, Watchdog, and other unions, and how they treated blacks, such as proposals and the messenger of the selection. But let me explain one thing to you right now. This is the 1920s and how even important blacks were then. Now, as intelligent, as prosperous, the mindsets that we have, these times will never exist again. It's a whole lot of times that are extremely, uh, you don't understand. Blacks have always been in the position of power throughout all of times, even within the times of slavery. Do you understand that Even in the position that you are in as whites that you have done right now, showing the world your whole ass to kiss and you giving it to them to kiss, knowing your psychiatric mind state of how you understand how what other whites are doing to this just straight disseminate the white supremacist notion is a good thing for you. That's a very good thing. It's a humbling thing because it was never true, never could be true, should have never been thought to be true, and you knew it the whole time. The whole damn time. So let's be clear. Titles and roles were reassigned. We know that. Why? Shit. You know you done seen this book, Time and on the Wheel of this podcast. You know you done seen this. Oh, let me straighten this back up for that fall. All right. You seen this time too? You know why you seen this time too? Because I'll tell you about it. Even in James, the Episcopalian, Moorish king, James the Sixth, Stuart, was the son of Henry and Mary Stuart, whose bloodline stretched in the way of the black Pistics, Scottish king Kenneth the Niger, who became the king of Scotland in AD 1567 to 1625, following the death of his mother Mary Scots, and who was chosen by his cousin Elizabeth, England, and successor. The colored king was the first to unite with the British Isles and the Scottish, which was then become the Great Britain. His name is the most well known by the European kings and since authorized the King James Version of the Bible and named himself after his 6 feet dark skinned, big nosed wife Anne of Denmark, who praised her darkness and her beauty of being black and become a mother of 7 children. King James the Seventh. No, King James, the 6th and 7th, and wife Anne, and the 9th great grandparent of Elizabeth II. The name James was originally called Hames of Hamish long before Roman invention in the pagan letter J, AD 1500. Ham, Homs, is an old rooted in the name of Ham, which was historically and biblically written Niger, Negro, Black, and other alternative derivatives of Black, a biblical holy name, I am God, which itself was originally written in Ham and Yam. You understand me? I won't give you too much. I like to give you this will be lasting a long time. This podcast, y'all gotta understand. You have to understand destiny swapping. Who stole the story? Who stole the story? So who gets credit? Who gets erased? Who becomes centered in education? Who becomes a footnote? Or just completely eradicated at all? Isn't that what is happening right now today? Don't them people know how to do the same thing over and over again? I mean, it's just like a brute force. Run through the middle, destroy everything. Run through the middle, destroy it all. Just fuck it up. Yeah, dig. Like that's kind of what they do. So, all right. So, this is one of the strongest things that you can understand about what a person that really wants domination over the whole globe. They want it all. They want it all. So what do? Textbooks, media, archives, political narratives, entertainment, and institutional storytelling called Western civilization. That's the biggest institutional storytelling narrative that's ever been told on the planet on some real falsehoods, complete false narratives on steroids. So the thing is, if one side controls the records, future generations may only hear one version. That's the problem that whites in America have. See, globally, whites and some Americans, Europeans that have traveled and went other places, they be like, "Oh man, this is crazy. I can't believe this. Oh my God!" They get confused. They get distraught. They get, "Oh God, oh my God, how does this happen?" You know how the hell it happened because you know what existed in your households, but you just didn't know how bad it really fucking was. God damn. Yes, you do. It's in your DNA too. So the psychological effects of destiny swapping has to do with a few things: disconnection, hopelessness, imitation, internal conflict, and dependency on outside validations. See, that's the problem with Europeans right now today. You see, Trump is an absolute exploitation of how these things have been happening softly, but he's the real projection. He's the absolute real projection. If you think about it all, he's the real projection in its fairness and its entirety. So think about this. If you figure out how to do a few things, learning what they do, researching, then they try to preserve family stories in their community build. And they try to self define. But you want to do that on top of destruction, depletion, elimination. But you keep telling yourself these war stories on how that's just the way things are when people evolve. That's not evolution. That's de-evolving. And in its entirety. The dangers of letting others define you is the fact that they subconsciously want to make their point stronger than yours. And they want you to believe that you should just fall in line. See, the danger is not only when what was taken, it's the dangers of becoming disconnected from yourself afterwards. Mhm. See, knowing your history, questioning narratives, builds your future consciously. Never hand your identity to a stranger. You understand? Never. A powerful black ancestral figure stands in a cracking on earth holding on torn historical documents while shadowing hands attempted to replace it. By doing what? Replacing your whole history with maps, labels, identity, tags, and crowns and titles. One side you got ancient memory, and the other side you got ancestral strengths, and on the other side you have rewritten books, altered maps, and symbolic land division in its entirety. But we got to really to get. I really want to get into this. I really want to ask us one thing: who taught democracy? Some people say the Harden Nasanu Nasanoni Confederacy, the Iroquois Confederacy. Iroquois. This is a real historical discussion. Scholars and institutions need to really talk about when we talk about the Americas. The United States, including the sophisticated diplomacy, law, debates, and the Confederacy and the government right here that existed right here. Iroquois, the Iroquois Confederacy. You know, they influenced some of the early American political thinkers and ideas from federalism, unity among nations, representatives, and governance. The Haudenosaunee system existed long before the United States, long before, and excluded sophisticated democracy, law, debate, and Confederate governance and structure. It had all of those things. It had all of it inside of there, as well as different other civilizations globally. So when you talk democracy, democracy is melanated. Different civilizations across the world developed systems of democracy and governance, philosophy, law, and social organization independently over thousands of years. All ancient African kingdoms, indigenous American confederacies, yeah, Greek city states, Asian dynasties also practiced democracy. Middle Eastern legal traditions practice democracy. And many others. I mean, seriously. So you think about America did not begin with emptiness. Are you serious? These people were the smelliest savages that God have ever created, and everybody identifies with that globally. The funk came from the peon, the boy that didn't know how to bathe that reached all the other lands. The boy that couldn't bathe to search for somebody to teach him something throughout the lands. That's the boy. He thought that he would find he was the only boy with a black father that was pale. No, everybody that's pale has a black father. That's what pissed him off completely. So when you look at everything that his daddy created when it comes to advanced indigenous societies, trade systems, diplomacy, architecture, agriculture, governance, and the confederacies that already existed before European colonization. All of it. So, too often people imagine civilization only existed after colonization, but nation systems and cultures already existed here in the Americas. It exists in our DNA. We know it. That's why we are actually Black Americans, American Indians, foundational Black Americans. When it comes to moral fiber, we hold this country together by the horns. There's nothing can beat it because we're here. Everybody else, y'all know the beginning of us. Some people ain't from here, and that's why they got problems with us, man. That's why they got issues with us, and this is what it is. So but the indigenous influence on governance is bar none, bar none in the Americas. Some fathers of the United States studied indigenous confederacies. That's what they did. The Iroquois Confederate demonstrated long-standing models of allegiances in government. Indigenous nations practiced forms of diplomacy and consensus building and impressed European observers because they turned the ship around. They flipped it over on us. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a longer show that I've been done in a long time. I haven't done a show this long in a while, but I had to give you some consensus. I had to let you know how we get down. See, acknowledging indigenous civilization does not erase anybody's history. It expands the truth of history or mystery, a story, my story, your story. People that understand real truth. You dig? Also, understand a couple of more things. The powerful council seen by what the Europeans has encapsulated upon gave them a system and a body of how to push a stolen overlay culture forward. But hey, who are we and how would it be? Check it out. This is Willis Podcast. I appreciate you guys. I love you. Thank you for tuning into the Willis Podcast. That was the show tonight. I know I didn't have any more comments. I wanted to have a special guest. We're going to probably do that later in a minute. So stay tuned. That's the show tonight on the platforms. We're finna go into TikTok. I'm gonna go and join my sister in the Acolyte Academy, and that's when we're gonna get on the show. But I think she didn't know that she gotta kind of, we'll get it together. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight. Appreciate you. We love you, and remember, you know it's a big part of the show. The wheel is yours. Be cool. Understand that, man, and understand one thing. Just because somebody took something from you, don't mean the battle ever been over. That's you looking into their narrative, not yours. We ain't never said it was over.